Well, welcome along to Snetterton, everybody, for the final weekend of racing in the 2024 Woods Food Services Boxster Cup. Round 13 of the championship we've got coming up for you. This grid is formed based on the fastest times that were set in qualifying this morning, albeit 3 cars have encountered problems, and they are therefore going to line up on the back of the grid, and that has important implications for the championship, because one of them is the championship leader, Wayne Gregory, who is off the very back of the grid and with a 10-second penalty, as is Perry Darling, and as is the number 60 car of Anthony Levy. We'll tell you why when we run you through the grid, because the cars are just heading off on their final formation lap around what is a sunny but rather chilly Snetterton 300 circuit. There is the championship leader, Wayne Gregory. We've got drop scores to begin to take into account as well, because it's a 14-round championship. This is round 13, their final race coming up later on today. You only count your best 12 scores, so you drop your worst 2 of the year. So at that stage where drop scores come into account. So pole position goes the way on the amended grid of number 44, Scott Evans, and alongside him is Ben Grucock. The second row of the grid sees Mike Thompson line up alongside Matt Goff. On to row number 3 of the grid, and on the inside of the third row of the grid, it's Barrington Darcy. He has got Darren King for company. And row 4 of the grid sees Will Kirtler line up alongside Mike Kirtler. An all-family affair on row number 5. Row number 4. Row 5 of the grid is Faye Noble Evans alongside Charlie Dye. And as we head on to row number 6, it's Ryan Charters, the man who lies second in the championship standings, not having a great qualifying. He sits alongside 68, which is Martin Mason. Then we move on to row number 7 of the grid. Graham Hurd lines up alongside Sarah Thompson. And row 8 is comprised by Craig Horvath, who's got Stuart Warner for company. Then we've got the final couple of rows of the main grid before those with the 10-second penalties. Eric Bridges and David Hussey. And then the final full row of the grid for those that will go out when the lights go out will be Nick Lawrence lining up alongside Sarah Wood. Then there'll be a couple of rows gap before we then see the 3 cars which all fell foul of issues in qualifying. Anthony Levy, whose car runs on sustainable fuels this weekend, it's been re-liveried for this weekend, and it's a toe in the water for potentially the future fuel choice for the club. But good to see that Porsche Club GB are considering sustainable fuels for the future. His car was puffing out some black smoke and some oily smoke during qualifying, so it was given a black and orange flag, but Anthony didn't come into the pits to get that checked, so it ultimately ended up being a black flag. He was disqualified from qualifying, starts off the back but got a 10-second penalty. Perry Darling joins him. He was found to be 4 kilograms under the minimum weight limit after qualifying, so he also is allowed to start at the back of the grid, and they'll have bolted some more weight into that car to make sure that it complies. And Wayne Gregory's car, a slight oversight, I gather, by the team, who, when the cars come into the pit lane at the end of qualifying, they're in parc fermé conditions and the car shouldn't be touched. I gather all the team did was check the tyre pressures, no more than that, but unfortunately the car was under parc fermé at the time, so as they touch the car, unfortunately the championship leader goes to the back of the grid, and those 3 cars will start 10 seconds after everybody else gets going. So Wayne Gregory has given himself a huge chunk of work to do, as has Perry Darling, because Wayne leads the championship. Perry Darling is 4th in the championship. As we say, drop scores you need to factor in at this stage. So Perry Darling starting off the back, 372 championship points is his gross score, but at the moment his 2 worst scores, you'd add in round 1 at Donington and round 5 at Alton Park, he would drop 41 points from that as his 2 worst scores. Ryan Charters is on 344, but he actually drops more points. He's dropping 46 as his 2 worst scores. Darren King, who's 3rd in the championship, is on 315. He would drop 34 championship points as his worst 2. And the car of Perry Darling, who is next up in the championship, he's on 304, but he's picked up a few penalty points as a result of some incidents he's been involved with. So take off his penalty points leaves him 299, and then his 2 worst scores from that would remove another 26. So it's all to play for. Not so much in this race, it's going to come down to the final race of the championship season, which is always good to see. This is a 25-minute race that we've got coming up for you. Our second and final race of the day for the Woods Food Services Porsche Boxster Cup will be taking place just before 4:30, or about 25 past 4 if we run to the scheduled timetable. But for Darren, Wayne Gregory, I should say, he has left himself a huge chunk of work to do in the Woods Food Services backed car, starting off the back of the grid with that 5-second penalty to try and overcome. So it's the blue and the black and the Dayglow car of Scott Evans ultimately that's there on pole position. It's Ben Grucock's yellow and black and white car that's alongside, almost the works Porsche colours of Mike Thompson, the white, the black, the red, on row number 2, alongside the largely white and blue car of Matt Goff. And then it's silver, almost with the Martini-esque stripes to it of Barrington Darcy alongside the silver and the black car. It's black on one side, it's silver on the other, which from a commentary perspective always makes it very difficult. That's Darren King. So looks as though the grid is as good as fully formed, and we'll await the green flag to be waved at the tail end of the field once everybody is into position. And then once that happens, it'll be 5-second boards, red lights on, and away we'll go. So 5-second board is held aloft. Round 13 of the 2024 Woods Food Services Boxster Cup. Penultimate round of the season is about to get underway here at Snetterton. Lights go out, and it's a good launch from the outside of the front row of the grid from Ben Grucock. He really did get the car beautifully off the line there. And is he going to lead the pack as they head up towards Ritchie's? The three off the back get going, but I think there was also a jump start there maybe from Wayne Gregory, who got going when the flag was lifted, rather when the flag falls. You should wait until the flag falls before you get going, but I think Wayne Gregory was a bit too keen to get away there, and if that was picked up on by the officials, then 10-second penalty for the problems in qualifying might also include a 10-second penalty now for being out of position at the start. We'll have to wait and see. That's not for me to worry about. So they turn their way safely through Wilson Hairpin for the first time and start to build the speeds as they head up towards the left-hander at Palmer. It looks as though it is Mike Thompson that has taken up the lead of the race. So despite the good start from Ben Grucock, he wasn't able to convert it into the race lead. He's actually dropped to third position. So it's Mike Thompson leading the way, Scott Evans in second place. Then it's going to be Ben Grucock is there in third position. All gets rather tight further down through the order, as I think that was Martin Mason was trying to squeeze his way through as the gap was just starting to close, but they've all driven impeccably well so far and are all still circulating as they head up towards Oggies for the first time, with, by the look of things, Scott Evans tried to get round the outside of Mike Gregory at Oggies. That means that he runs wide all over the grass, and straight away through goes Ben Grucock. Also sneaking his way through will be the next of the cars, which is going to be Darren King, who started something like 6th on the grid, and he's going to be up to, what's that going to be, probably 3rd, is it, by the time they head onto the Bentley Straight for the first time. So here they come down the Bentley Straight in towards the difficult braking area for Brundle and Nelson. Largely difficult because you're trying to turn the car left, but also make sure that you're braking ready for the right-hander that's coming up at Nelson. So it's very easy, particularly in a rear-engined car, as these Porsches are, to lose the tail end of the car once that pendulum effect starts to kick in. But all of the drivers well used to driving these cars and continue round with no such worries at this stage. As for the cars off the back of the grid, well, there is the number 53 car of Wayne Gregory, the championship leader, pushing as hard as he can, already picking up at least one place compared to the pack that all got going when the lights went out, rather than his 10-second delay. So lap number 1 about to be chalked into the book. Scott Evans trying to come back at Barrington Darcy as they head over the start-finish line. He's drawn himself alongside, however, he's on the outside line when they head up towards Ritchie's corner, so can he sneak through to 4th position? Let's have a quick look. Yep, through he goes. So Barrington Darcy down into 5th place, place gained by Scott Evans, the man who, in the amended grid, started from pole position, despite the fact that he was 3rd quickest in the qualifying session. So onto the brakes, through the Wilson hairpin. At the end of the first lap of the race, Wayne Gregory has made it up to 20th position, so he's still pushing hard to try and catch the main pack, for which the front end of that main pack is now just turning its way down towards what will be Agostini for the second time. Number 72, Mike Kirtler, pushing hard. He is sitting there just inside the top 6, I think, at the moment. Yeah, he's in 6th position at the wheel of that yellow car, one of 3 cars run by the same team, all in very similar liveries, sort of Martini-esque colours to them again, isn't it? You've got the one of Mike Kirtler, the yellow car with the stripes down the centre. You've got Will Kirtler's car, which is very similarly liveried, and then you've got Ryan Charters as well. So onto the brakes, in towards Oggies they thread their way. In fact, all 3 of the team cars all absolutely running together at this stage, in 6th, 7th, and is that 8th position now. So 21 minutes still to go of the 25. Mike Thompson still leading the way at the moment, from Darren King in 2nd place. Ben Grucock in 3rd place, just needing to watch his mirrors because he's got Scott Evans trying to recover after his grassy moment coming out of Oggies on the lap prior. He's not quite as yet been able to get himself back inside the podium spots as they head down in towards the braking area for Brundle and Nelson for the second time of asking. In the background of the shot is the blue car, the dark blue car with the gold flashes to it. That's Wayne Gregory, the championship leader, still trying to carve his way through the order. So gained 3 places on the first lap. He needs to be careful that he doesn't run out too wide beyond the curb line. He was pushing the very limits there as he came through Nelson, through the fast right-hander at the bomb hole, and then the really difficult, never-ending right-hander at Coram. You just keep turning right all of the time, and then whilst you're still turning right, you need to start to get the car on the brakes and get it ready for the left-hander that's coming up at Murray's, the final corner on this Snetterton 300 circuit, the 2.9689 mile lap, so just under 3 miles. So Wayne Gregory is working his way through the order. Perry Darling is the car that's ahead of him, another car that started off the tail end of the field. Remember, Wayne Gregory, the number 53 car, the championship leader. The other car that's trying to squeeze its way through ahead of him is Perry Darling, who was fastest in qualifying. Remember, Perry is also 4th in the championship standing, so he needs to make good progress as well to add to the championship tally. So on to the brakes. Perry Darling up 3 more places on that lap. Wayne Gregory was up a further 2, so he is now up into 18th position. The difficulty is, though, of course, every time you meet the next car, by very nature, it's going to be going that little bit quicker in terms of lap time, so it becomes ever more difficult to try and thread your way through and past it. And that next car that they are trying to squeeze their way through, I think, is Craig Horvath's car. So Perry Darling should pick off the yellow and black car of Craig Horvath on the run in towards the Agostini hairpin. As the door is open, Wayne Gregory, I think, is going to stick his nose in there and see if he can try and squeeze his way through, which he has just been able to do on the exit of the corner, so it's another place gain there. Now for Perry Darling, the next of the cars to try and tick off, I think, is going to be Sarah Thompson's yellow and red machine. And is Perry Darling going to have a nibble there on the run in towards Oggies? Yes, he does. And as the door is open, Wayne Gregory says, thank you, I'll go through as well. And then, by the look of things, Wayne Gregory now is going to pick off Perry Darling on the exit of the corner, that being the exit of Oggies, heading up towards Williams. So they've shuffled the order, those two. Both of them started from the tail end of the field. The other car that started from the tail end of the field is the car that's running on the sustainable fuels, Anthony Levy, and as yet he is not inside the top 20. Change of position there. Ben Grucock just running a little bit wide coming out of Nelson. Scott Evans taking the opportunity to sneak the place away on the entrance in towards Brundle. Got the job done on the exit of Nelson, and now he's in 3rd place. He can set his sights firmly on trying to catch up with the next car that's up the road from him, which is the silver and black number 17 car in the hands of Darren King, and Darren King lies 3rd in the championship standings coming into this weekend. So this is lap number 3 that's about to be completed. It's still Mike Thompson leading the way at this stage, and Mike will be hoping that he can add to the tally. He took a double win at Alton Park earlier on this year. He won at Anglesey, he's won at Croft, so he's been 4 times a race winner so far this year, and at the moment is 1.6 seconds to the good. Last time through, he set the fastest lap of the race we've seen so far on the second of the flying laps that we've had, 2 minutes 16.614 seconds. Now Darren King still has a second in hand between himself and Scott Evans behind. Further down through the order, Stuart Warner is fighting away with Sarah Thompson, and right behind Sarah Thompson is still Perry Darling, who hasn't been able to squeeze his way through as yet. So up towards the Agostini hairpin. Scott Evans might lose out here. He's just gained the place over Ben Grucock. Ben Grucock in the Porsche Centre Bournemouth car returns the favour. So he's back into 3rd place again once more, and Scott Evans, despite all of that hard work down through Brundle and Nelson last time through, finds himself back down into 4th position. Shadowing them is Barrington Darcy in the number 27 car. Barrington, who hasn't done a full season, I don't think, this year. No, he had a poor Donington Park, didn't score very well at all at Donington Park. His best result of the season has been 6th place. Well, Barrington is 5th at the moment, so it would be the best result of the season for him at the wheel of that silver car with the Martini-esque stripes down the centre. He's going well. Scott Evans is starting to attack Ben Grucock as they head down in towards Brundle and Nelson once more, but Ben Grucock's going to hang on to the place this time through. Be careful not to run wide as he did last time heading out of the corner, but he's still there in 3rd position. Scott Evans in 4th, Barrington Darcy in 5th. The first of the Kirtler family, which is Mike Kirtler, is there in 6th place at the moment at the wheel of the number 72 car, but look in his mirrors, Mike's right behind him, Mike Kirtler, second of the Kirtler family. Now there is Anthony Levy, there is the sustainable fueled Porsche, and it looks as though there's problems with his car. It had a little bit of oil smoke in qualifying, but that car is clearly encountering some sort of problem and may well be destined for the pits at the end of this lap, and we could have another change for 3rd again. Scott Evans back in full attack mode once more. He moves to the left-hand side of the circuit. That's the outside line for Ritchie's. On his inside is Ben Grucock. Ben has the inside line. They go side by side through Ritchie's corner. And as they come out, it also means that Ben Grucock is still going to have the inside line when they're heading towards the braking area for the Wilson hairpin. He brakes as late as he possibly can. He hangs on to third for the moment. Not a great deal that Scott Evans can do about it. He'll try and re-attack coming out of the corner, and now they're squabbling. It's bringing Barrington Darcy into the mix as well, as he sits there already in what would be a season's best 5th position in his penultimate race of the year. First 10 minutes of the race have already flown by. Our race leader, Mike Thompson, continually opening up the gap between himself and the car that's in 2nd place, which is Darren King. And are we going to have another change for 3rd this time? No, Ben Grucock's still in 3rd place. All of the Ashgood cars circulating together. Mike Kirtler, Will Kirtler and Ryan Chartis. Similarly liveried cars. But one's red, one's yellow, and one is white. Now Darren King under big pressure here, and I think he's going to lose 2nd place here, because carving the door open coming out of Oggies is Ben Grucock. And if the door is open for him, Scott Evans surely is going to want to try and sneak his way through, but Darren King braves it out around the outside at Williams, tries to get the power down, and if he can run wheel to wheel down the Bentley straight with Ben Grucock, then Darren King would have the inside line for the first part of Brundle and Nelson. We might be 3 wide when we get to the bottom of the straight. Darren King, Ben Grucock, Scott Evans, 3 wide. Something's got to give somewhere. Darren King hangs on to 2nd place. Ben Grucock is now going to have to take the outside line all the way through Brundle and Nelson. There's a little bit of a touch between Scott Evans and Ben Grucock, and now still side by side as they head round through the bomb hole this time through. Fantastic racing, and now Barrington Darcy sees an opportunity to see if he can gain a place as well. Brakes come on. Barrington Darcy decides that, well, for the moment, no, I'm not sure I want to go through 3 wide through Coram. So he backs things off, and for the moment will still reside there in 5th place. But that was good driving from everybody there, just giving each other enough room. There was a light tap between Ben Grucock and Scott Evans, but nothing more than that. And there was nothing to choose between all 3 cars there as they got down towards the bottom of the Bentley straight. Darren King has just managed to escape, though, a little bit more in 2nd place. And all of this is playing beautifully into the hands of the race leader, remember, Mike Thompson, already 4 times a race winner. He is now 2.3 seconds up the road from the chasing pack. Now, I think we've had a change further down through the order. Ryan Chartis, yes, has managed to get himself through and ahead of William Kirtler. So it looks like the Ashgood cars have shuffled the order in 6th, 7th and 8th positions. In fact, Ryan Chartis, I think, might have gained a couple. Yeah, he's gone through and ahead of Will Kirtler and Mike Kirtler. So, yeah, the red Ashgood car now ahead of the yellow one, which is going to be Mike Kirtler, which is ahead of the white one, which is Will Kirtler, and then hunting the pair of those down is going to be the next of the cars that we have in the order, and that is going to be number 46 car of Matt Goff, I think. Yes, it is. Yeah, Matt Goff sitting there in 9th place, wrapping up the top 10 last time they came over the start-finish line. Well, it's going to be Charlie Dye at the wheel of the number 96 car. So some good squabbles all the way through the order. We are just past the halfway point of this race, 25-minute race, just under 12.5 minutes to go. For 2nd place, the pressure is building again on Darren King, because look at his mirrors, who's there? It's the blue car with its day-glow orange wheels in the hands of Scott Evans, who is moving around to make sure he stays in the slipstream of the car ahead. He'll take the opportunity to decide if and when he wants to dive out, and it's not this time he dives out of the slipstream. He'll follow the 2nd place car of King all the way through Brundle and Nelson. Darren King would dearly like to have another 2nd place. He's had a few seconds this year. He took a 2nd place in the opening round at Donington Park. He took a 2nd place at Alton Park. He's had a couple of 3rds as well. So it would equal the best finish of the season for Darren King. As for the progress of Wayne Gregory, remember, from the tail end of the field, plus a 10-second penalty for the championship leader. Well, another place gained last time through. He's knocking on the door of getting himself inside the top 10. So can he haul himself inside the top 10 at the end of this particular lap? His lap times suggest yes, he can. I think he was a full second quicker than the number 96 car of Charlie Dye last time through. And now as they head over the start-finish line, Charlie Dye in that silver car with the red and the white flashes to it. He's going to feel the pressure a little bit more as the championship leader closes in on him. Black and white warning flag going out for somebody as they came over the start-finish line. That means that somebody's testing the patience of the race officials with regards to usually track limits You can go right up to the white line as Wayne Gregory times up the inside of Charlie Dye. Should get himself inside the top 10 with that one, which he does. So that is potentially good championship points for Wayne Gregory. 10th place would net him 10 championship points. It's 25 though for the win, which is, it looks as though what Mike Thompson is potentially heading towards. 25 for the win, 21 for second, 18 for third, 16, 15, 14 and so on. There's an extra point for pole position. That's gone the way of Scott Evans, who's still circulating in third place. There's an extra point for fastest lap, which is going the way of Wayne Gregory at the moment. Last time through, 2 minutes 14.694 from Wayne Gregory. So that was another extra point that's heading in his direction. As it's the final weekend of racing as well, an extra 10 bonus points are awarded to everybody that practices and starts the race to encourage everybody to stay on for the full season. So Wayne Gregory, now that he is inside the top 10, he's got a bit of work to do to catch the next car, because about 5 seconds up the road will be the number 36 car, which is going to be William Kirtler. His is the white car with the black stripe down the centre. You can see the background of the shot with the lights on is Wayne Gregory. And are we going to have another change of order here? Yes, Mike Kirtler is undone as squeezing his way through goes Matt Goff at the wheel of the number 46 car. So that's a change for position. Matt Goff up into 7th, Mike Kirtler down into 8th place. So 9 minutes still remaining. Mike Thompson stretching the lead advantage up to 1.6 seconds. It did come down slightly actually over the course of the last lap. So Mike Thompson was about 0.7 of a second slower, 3/4 of a second slower than the car of Darren King last time through. So are we going to see a further reduction in that lead? Yes, we are. Look at the lead. It really has come down. So it's just 0.8 of a second now between Mike Thompson, Darren King. Scott Evans is not far away. Then we've got the car of Ben Grucock, followed by Barrington Darcy. All of those 5 cars separated by just 2.8 seconds. And Darren King feeling the pinch. He's closed in on the race leader, but he's got to be careful. He's still got Scott Evans right behind him. Another fastest lap of the race from Wayne Gregory last time through. 2 minutes 14.326 for the man from the back of the grid. So he's certainly made some good progress, Wayne Gregory. As I say, he is still 4 seconds adrift of catching the next car ahead of him, and 8 minutes in which to do it. So up towards Agostini. Darren King goes a little bit defensive in towards Agostini, so Scott Evans takes a nice wide sweep in. He's not going to try for an undercut on the way out because he's just simply not close enough. Up towards the very fast left-hand kink at Hamilton. Careful of the tyre stack on the inside. Make sure you don't run wide on the exit of the corner. Scott Evans is seeing whether he can again take a nice wide sweep in towards Oggies, and we've already seen him get the undercut a couple of times heading up towards Williams, but Darren King is wise to that and just has his nose ahead still as they flick through what is a very important right-hand corner. So critical to get a good run coming out of Williams, because you carry all of that momentum down the Bentley Straight and up towards Brundle and Nelson, which is where the leading pack is heading now. Mike Thompson still leading the way from Darren King, Scott Evans, Ben Grucock, then it's Barrington Darcy, followed then by the next of the cars, which is going to be the number 46 car, which will be the car in the hands of Matt Goff, is it, that's next up. And then we'll wait and see what happens thereafter. No, it's Ryan Chartis, isn't it? Then it's Matt Goff, then it's Mike Kirtler, then it's Will Kirtler. So round through the bomb hole. Ben Grucock with his hands rather full still at the wheel of the Porsche Centre Bournemouth machine. That's the yellow car with the black flashes sitting there in 4th. He's under pressure from Barrington Darcy, who is still on in 5th place for a best result of the season. So this is lap 8 that's about to be completed this time through. Now Mike Thompson was 0.8 of a second up the road from Darren King last time through. He is just 0.4 of a second up the road from Darren King this time through. Just seems as though it's the middle part of the lap where Darren King doesn't quite have the car underneath. In the final part of the lap, he is absolutely on fire. Darren King really does close in through that last sector. He was a full second quicker pretty much than the race leader through the final sector of the lap, but it's the middle part where he doesn't quite either have the confidence or the car underneath him. So out of Wilson, up towards the left-hander at Palmer. Mike Thompson still continuing to lead the way. He's led every lap so far. Hasn't led every single part of every lap, but it was just maybe the first couple of corners that he didn't lead. But after that, he has controlled this race, but he has seen his lead advantage diminish over the course of the last couple of laps, and Darren King gets very close to him under braking for Agostini that time through. Still the Works Porsche liveried number 6 machine of Mike Thompson leading the way, but not by a great deal from Darren King. And then Scott Evans completing the top 3. Then a slight gap now back to 4th place, which is still the yellow car in the hands of Ben Grucock. But if he looks in his mirrors, he's got Barrington Darcy that he needs to worry about. So out of Williams, back onto the Bentley straight for what will be the 9th time of asking. There might just be a little bit of traffic up the road. Sarah Wood, they might just catch towards the tail end of this particular race. Sarah, the daughter of Steve Wood, who's been very successful in Porsche Club GB racing, which had its first ever race, Porsche Club GB, 40 years ago here at Snetterton. April 1984 was the first ever Porsche Club GB race that we saw, so it's quite fitting really that the venue where it all started is the venue that 40 years later is going to crown our champions for this year, both in the Boxster Cup that we have and of course the main Porsche Club Championship and the AM Championship that are also out racing this weekend. So through Coram up towards the braking area for Murray's. There's going to be more than a couple of lap times as they're left. No, they're going to be going on to their penultimate lap of the race, I think, this time through. So they're doing about 2 minutes and 16 seconds per lap. So I don't think there'll be anything more than time for the lap they've started and one more thereafter. Faye Noble-Evans is having a good little squabble, actually. The beautifully liveried number 20 car. I've always liked the livery on Faye Noble-Evans' car, but she is under big pressure here from Sarah Thompson, who is trying to squeeze her way through. Oh, that was rather close heading in towards Murray's, but no contact between the pair. But as a result of Sarah's efforts to try and get through, she delayed her exit, I'm afraid, so that has just compromised the exit speed and will compromise the speed all the way now down the centre straight. They've got a car not that far ahead of them, which will be Matt Mason, with the shark's teeth across the front of his car. So Matt Mason, then Faye Noble-Evans, then Sarah Thompson. They'll be fighting for 13th, 14th and 15th position. Matt Mason having got ahead of Sarah Noble-Evans on that lap, actually. Right, back Darrington. By the look of things, right, okay, so having lost time there, Barrington Darcy has lost a chunk of time, has he not, and is now dropped right into the clutches of Ben Grucock. In fact, no, he's gone ahead of Ben Grucock. That's what he's done. He's moved himself up through the order. He was in 5th at the start of the lap and is now up into 4th place, and Ben Grucock now is feeling the pressure from Matt Goff that sits behind, followed by Ryan Charters, and now he might have a change for 2nd as well by the look of things, as Darren King is being lent on by Scott Evans, who snuck up the inside as they went round through Williams that time through. We've still got out there circulating Anthony Levy in the sustainable fueled Porsche Boxster, but he is going to potentially drop off the lead lap if he's not careful with a couple of minutes to go. It's still Mike Thompson that leads. Darren King has still somehow hung on to 2nd place here, despite the very best efforts of Scott Evans to try and unlock the door on 2nd place. He's not been able to do it. Then it is going to be Barrington Darcy who is next up in what would be, without question, a season's best 4th place if he can hang on to it. Best bet for Barrington is going to be for the cars behind to start to squabble, and that looks as though that might be the case. The yellow and black car of Ben Grucock trying to keep at bay Matt Goff and then Ryan Charters, so that is all good news for Barrington Darcy. So about to start what will be the final lap of the race this time through. Mike Thompson comes through to start the last lap of the race under no real pressure at all. He is 3.0 seconds up the road from Darren King and Scott Evans as they continually squabble over who wants to be 2nd and who wants to be 3rd. Great fight going on further back, as by the look of things Mike Kirtler is trying to gain a place but is in danger of losing one. Wayne Gregory very wide out of Richie's corner, the championship leader off the back of the grid, loses out to Will Kirtler who goes through there. So Wayne Gregory was 9th as he came over the start finish line, but I think we'll be back down into 10th position. Ben Grucock in 5th position is now feeling the pressure from Matt Goff that sits behind, and a few cars now being forewarned with regards to track limits as well. Cars number 86, number 90 and number 20 all just being forewarned to stay within the confines of the circuit. Don't run out beyond the white line or the red and white curbs. If they do it, they pick up a 5-second penalty. But for our championship leader, Wayne Gregory, it's been a good drive off the back of the grid. He had managed to get himself ahead of the car of Will Kirtler. He dropped back behind as a result of that moment at Richie's corner. He's having another go now to get back through and ahead of the car of Will Curtler, but Will Curtler will have the inside line when they're heading towards the braking area for Oggies. So the number 36 car, the Ashgood car, still hangs on to it. So Wayne Gregory says, okay, the inside's not available, I'll go all the way around the outside. And he's made it stick all the way around the outside at Oggies. And then carries good momentum through Williams and has picked up another place, and that could all be important come the totting of the championship scores at the end of this race as we head into our final race later on today. But for Mike Thompson, it is certainly looking as though he is on course for another race win. Mike Thompson, so he's already claimed double wins at Alton Park, a win at Anglesey, a win at Croft. It looks as though round 13 of the championship is heading in his direction as the clock is about to tick to 0 and the cars for the final time will be heading round through Coreham. So 5 seconds on the clock, which means it will be at 0 when Mike Thompson heads towards the start-finish line. So round 13 of the 2024 Woods Food Services Porsche Boxster Cup is going to go the way of Mike Thompson, who's going to claim his 5th win of the 2024 championship season. Well done to Mike Thompson. It is going to be Scott Evans that gets himself ahead of Darren King on that final lap. So the number 44 car that started from pole finishes in 2nd place. Darren King in 3rd place. Barrington Darcy with a season's best 4th position. Congratulations to him. Ben Grucock in 5th place. Matt Goff is going to come through in 6th place with Ryan Charters, Mike Curtler in 7th and 8th. Wayne Gregory, 10-second penalty and off the back of the grid to finish in 9th position. That's a good drive from the man who leads the championship. 9th place is going to net him 11 championship points. And then if we add the fact that you get the extra 10 championship points for that race, I think that probably means that won't be one of the dropped scores for him. I think his dropped scores would still potentially remain the same, but we'll have to do some totting up between now and the second race later on. We've got a few more cars to head over the start-finish line. Next car through should be Craig Horvath, who'll be coming over the start-finish line. And then we've still got a couple of cars to finish thereafter, including the likes of Graham Hurd to take the checkered flag, David Hussey to take the checkered flag, Eric Bridges to take the checkered flag. But for Mike Thompson, he will be absolutely delighted with that. Win number 5 of the championship season. And for a driver who didn't score any points at all at the opening round of the championship at Donington Park, he didn't really have a great Brands Hatch Grand Prix round either. Scored poorly that weekend. He's not really in the championship hunt, but he is arguably the quickest driver out there today. Comes home winning by nearly 2 seconds. 1.948 seconds in the end was the winning margin from him. David Hussey takes the checkered flag. He will be classified in 20th position. And I think there's maybe just 1 or 2 more stragglers to take the checkered flag, which I think will be the number 61 car of Nick Lawrence, which is the last of those that will see the checkered flag before we then get the cars refreshed and head back out onto circuit for our final race of the season later on today. So Wayne Gregory doing a good job to minimise the impact of those problems in qualifying. Did finish inside the top 10. Let's confirm the results for you then. Mike Thompson claims the win from Scott Evans in 2nd place and Darren King in 3rd position. It's the season's best for Barrington Darcy, who's there in 4th place, ahead of Ben Grucock in 5th place, and completing the top 6 is Matt Goff. Ryan Charters was 7th, ahead of Mike Curtler in 8th place. Wayne Gregory was 9th, and Will Curtler wrapped up the top 10. Then as we move to 11th position, in 11th position it was Charlie Dye in 11th place. Perry Darling, another driver off the back of the grid and who's 4th in the championship, climbed as high as 12th in the end. Martin Mason finished in 13th with Sarah Thompson and Faye Noble-Evans completing the top 15. Stuart Warner was there in 16th, ahead of Craig Horvath. Then it was Graham Hurd, Eric Bridges and the number 64 car David Hussey completed the top 20. Just outside of the top 20, car number 61 Nick Lawrence finished in 21st position. Sarah Wood was in 22nd position, and a car that had problems, it's a car that's running on sustainable fuel. It won't be the fuel that's causing the problem, it was engine woes this morning, and perhaps they've not quite been rectified yet. Anthony Levy will hope for better things in the race later on this afternoon. But on the basis of that, second race is based on the second fastest times from qualifying. It will see again those 3 cars start off the back of the grid. Join us for that race later on today. We'll be back with you for more Boxster Cup action round about 16:24, 25 past 4 this afternoon. Goodbye.